Hello Peter's crew and welcome to this week's edition. Today we're going to look at the story of the rich man who went away and left his servants with some money. It's a story in Matthew 25, straight after last week's story about the bridesmaids and their lamps. Now before we begin today, I wanted to share something with you. This is a bit of a confession. It's particularly a confession because I know my mum watches these videos and this you'll see. So this is a birthday card that my mum gave me this year. My birthday was in September and she knows me well. I love frogs, so it's a beautiful frog. But better than that, when you open the frog, you can plant some seeds in his tummy and they can grow. And she knows, as you know from last week in the greenhouse, I love growing things. But here's the confession, okay? She gave me this in September and now we're in, where are we? April. Nearly May by the time you see this. I haven't planted the seeds. So I have been given a gift and I haven't used it. And because I haven't used it, nothing has grown. Oh dear. Sorry Mum. I will get on and use it soon. So I wonder if you've ever been given a gift that you haven't used. And how does that make you feel? Do you feel a bit guilty? I feel a bit guilty. And in today's story, we see some people who are given gifts, and some of them use them wisely, but some of them don't. I wonder what you would do. The quiz. Thank you so much for the entries to the quiz. I'm afraid to say that nobody won this week because nobody got all the answers right. Oh, it was too difficult. And it was the very first question that was too difficult. So the question was, how long did Noah spend in the ark? And you all thought 150 days. But I don't think so. I don't think you read it carefully enough. So if you've got a Bible, you can have a quick look in Genesis chapter 7, because it says this. Noah was 600 years old when the flood came, and he and his wife went into the boat. So that's our starting point. Noah was 600. And it says that he went into the boat and 7 days later it began to rain. It says the rain began on the 17th day of the second month of the year that Noah was 600. That's verse 11. Okay, so keep that in mind. Second month, 17th day. And then in Genesis 8, it's a bit windy for this filming. In Genesis 8, it tells you when he got off the boat. So it says, verse 14 of Genesis 8, by the 27th day of the second month, the land was completely dry. By now, Noah was 601. So he was a whole year older, and we're in the second month, but we're now on the 27th day. So I think that's a whole year and 10 days. So with 365 days in a year, that means he was on the boat, the ark, for 375 days. Oh! I do hope we are not that long in lockdown. Now, the other answers. You're right, Jonah was only in the belly of the big fish for 3 days. Not so long to wait, just as well, as I think that would have been smelly. Although it probably was pretty smelly on the ark. Got news for you. It's pretty smelly in my house at the moment. Teenage boys don't seem to need to wash during lockdown. Anyway, the other answers about the friends, the pairs of friends. So from Toy Story we had Woody and Buzz. From Frozen we had Anna and Olaf. From The Lion King we had Timon and Pumbaa. From Finding Nemo we had Marlon and Dory. And from Inside Out, it was Bing Bong and Joy. And from Monsters Inc., Mike and Scully. And the last one, number 7, from Rapunzel, was Pascal and Rapunzel. So I wonder how you did at home, but nobody sent me all the right answers. Now, this week, our story is sometimes called the Parable of the Talents. And so for our quiz, I have found some Bible references, and if you look them up, a talent or a job or a expertise is mentioned in the verse. So look these up and send me a list of different people's talents for this week's quiz. Here they are. quiz, there is another quiz this week, and for that you will need to print off a sheet. It's a personality quiz all about being faithful, because in our story today, some of the people are faithful and others are a bit frightened. So, as I said, our story today is from Matthew's Gospel, chapter 25, and it's straight after last week's story. So last week, if you remember, it was the story of the bridesmaids, the 10 bridesmaids that waited with their lamps for the bridegroom. But when they woke up at midnight, some of them had taken no spare oil, and they had to go back to get more oil. And when they came back, the bridegroom had come and they missed the party. And so we talked about being ready for Christ to come back. So straight after that story, Jesus tells today's story. It's a little bit different, but it's also about somebody going away and coming back. Let's see what we can learn from it. Today I'm telling the story with play people. Here we go. Okay, so here is our story. Today's story is from Matthew's Gospel, chapter 25, and it's often known as the parable of the talents. It's a story that Jesus told. So once there was a rich man. Here's my rich man. Rich man. Has loads of money, nice horse and carriage. And the rich man was going to go away for a long time. And he decided to give his money to 3 of his servants. So we've got man 1, Fred, man 2, Bill, man 3, Ken. And the rich man we're going to call Rich. So Rich decided to give money to his servants. And this is what the story says. He gave 5 pieces of silver to man 1. He gave 2 pieces of silver to man 2. And to man 3, Ken, he gave a single piece of silver. And then he got in his carriage and he went away for a long time. Bye! So maybe Fred took the money and opened a hat shop, investing in lots of hats. Maybe it was a real hat shop, maybe it was an online eBay hat shop. Maybe Fred did that with his money. Or maybe Fred used his money to buy a boat because he was a good fisherman and went to catch fish to sell. Maybe Fred walked people's dogs and looked after them to earn some money. What would you do if you were given a lot of money? I wonder what you would do. I wonder what Bill did with his money. Perhaps he was good at baking bread and opened Bill's Bakery. Or maybe he was particularly good at painting horses and opened a whole business painting people's horses. Maybe Bill learned to play the trumpet and joined a band. It took a lot of practice. What would you do if you were given some money? Ken was afraid. He knew his master was harsh, and he was worried that whatever he did, it might go wrong. So he took the safest option. He took his coin, he dug a hole in the garden, and he buried it somewhere safe where he knew he could find it when his master returned. The time came when the rich man returned, and he called his servants together. Fred, tell me, what have you been doing? Do you still have the money I gave you? Oh, sir, said Fred, I have worked really hard. You gave me 5 coins, and I have made 5 more. I am really pleased with what you have done, said the rich man. I will put you in charge of even more things. Then he called his 3rd servant. Sir, you're back. I was worried about what to do with the money you gave me. I did not want to make a mistake, so I hid it. I put a cross where I had hidden it, and here it is. You can have it back, safe and sound." The rich man was furious. "You lazy, lazy man," he said. "You had plenty of money and you hid it away. What was the use of giving it to you? What a waste. Give it back," he said. And he gave that money to the first man who had made the most, because he knew that this man would be wise and sensible and use it well. So, just in case you missed it, here's the quick version. There was a rich man who had to go away. He gave things to his servants to take care of while he was away. To one man, he gave 5 coins. To another, he gave 2. And to the last man, he gave 1 coin to look after while he was away. He went away. Doo-doo! He came back. When he came back, the first man had worked really hard. He had been a good and faithful servant, and he had twice as much money. He now had 10 coins. The second man had also worked hard, and he too had doubled his money. But the third man had hidden his money and was only able to give back exactly what he had been given in the first place. So this is a story Jesus told. At the end of the story, the master answered those servants who had done well, "You are good servants and can be trusted. You did well with small things, so now you can take care of much greater things." But to the servant who did not do so well, who was afraid and who hid his money in the ground, the master said, "You are a bad and lazy servant, so you should have put your money in the bank where it would have made some interest." And he gave the money from the last servant to the first servant. Now, before we talk about the story and what it might mean, I want us to have a go at the personality quiz that I mentioned. So hopefully you have been able to get a printout, or if not a printout, you can see on a screen the personality quiz. It's on the blog. Now, this is not a sort of get the highest score sort of quiz. This is about thinking about you and what your most truthful answer would be. So with these quizzes, it's best to do them fairly swiftly. Don't think too deeply. Go with your first gut response. What would you do? So you might want to pause the video here and have a go at this quiz, and then we'll talk about the quiz, and then we'll talk about the story and pull the two together. Now then, I wonder how you got on with the quiz. This is what to do. So you need to go through now, and every time you have ticked an A, give yourself 1 point. If you've ticked a B, give yourself 2 points. And if you ticked a C, for every C, give yourself 4 points. I know, it's a bit of a maths lesson this week, sorry. So go through and work that out. So for every A, 1 point, for every B, 2 points, and for every C, 4 points. Remember, it's not about a high score, it's about your personality. Then add up the points, see how many you've got. Okay, you might need to pause again while you do the maths. Okay, are we there? So, let me explain the results. Now, if your total was less than 15, you're someone who is quite happy to please yourself and let everybody else pick up the pieces. You need to be careful not to be too selfish. You need to remember other people, and that sometimes we need to do things for them and not just for ourselves. So try to think more about other people and ways you could help them. You will have better friends if they feel they can trust you, because you will be there for them if they need you. Okay, now then, if you got between 15 and 25, this is for you. A lot of the time, you like to do what you want, but you can see the need to help other people, even if it means putting yourself out. Being faithful means being reliable and doing the things you have promised or been asked to do. You are beginning to be faithful in some areas. Look at the things that you can't be bothered with at the moment and see what improvements you could make there. Now, if you got between 25 and 40, You are a faithful person. When you promise to do something, you do it, and you do it well. When you make a commitment, you stick to it, and you put your friends first. Being a faithful friend sometimes means telling people things they do not want to hear, but you can do that too, and you can do it well. Keep going. Well done. So, I wonder, did that quiz surprise you? Did you think you were more faithful than maybe you are? Do you think being reliable is important? How faithful are you to your friends? How faithful do you want your friends to be to you? What has faithfulness got to do with our story today? And the three men, what were they called? I can't remember now. Yeah, Fred, Bill and Ken in our story. Well, all of those people were given something, given a gift by the rich man in the story. I wonder who the rich man was. Do you think it's God? Or do you think it's Jesus? That's the thing with Jesus' parables. He gets us thinking, what could it mean? Anyway, I think they were given some money, and it's a bit like us. We're all given things by God. Gifts, talents, things that we are innately good at. But they need practice, they need work. They don't grow in us if we just bury them in the ground, like Ken did in our story. So to be faithful to the rich man, or to be faithful to God, or be faithful to the master in the story, you need to take what you're given and nurture it, and grow it, and practice it, and make it work, so that when you next see the rich man in the story, or your friend, or God is really pleased with you and can say, wow, I gave you that little thing and you have worked hard, my good and faithful servant. That is a lovely verse, isn't it? Verse 23, I think it is. You are a good and faithful servant. Because you have been good at little things, I will give you greater things. Now, I would love it if God said that to me. Wouldn't you love it if God said that to you? Now, I have to tell you a little story. When I was at school, I went to a school called Allerton High School in Leeds, a long way away. We had a school motto, and the school motto was In Minimis Fidelis. It was in Latin. They're a bit posh. I've been on the website recently. They've changed their motto. It's now Every Child to Succeed. Anyway, back then it was In Minimis Fidelis, and that means faithful in little things. When I was at school, we thought it might mean good at Trivial Pursuits, because Trivial Pursuits was a board game that everyone played then. Anyway, that's not what it meant. But it's only today, well, this week, when I've looked at this passage for you, that I've realised that faithful in little things comes from this Bible verse. And if we're faithful in little things, God will take us on to greater things. So, for our prayers this week, I thought we'd think about the word faithful. Because in both of the stories we've done recently, you need to be faithful. Faithful and ready with your oil for your lamp. Faithful in using what you have been given wisely. So there's a sheet you can print out like this one, or you could just write the letters down for yourself. But I thought you could think of a prayer and try to start each line with the beginning letter. I'm going to have a go now, together with you, to finish today with a prayer. So here we go. Father God, thank you for the many gifts you give us. Amaze us as we discover what our gifts are. Inspire us to use them wisely and for your glory. Today, tomorrow and every day, may we be aware, using things for your glory. Help us when it's tough. As friends alongside us to encourage us. Uplift us when it's tough. And I long to see your glory displayed in the gifts of people in Peter's crew. Thank you, Father. Amen. Now, to finish with, James Hogg has very kindly recorded the song My Lighthouse. I know it's a favourite from holiday clubs, and I thought it would be really good for us to do on these videos. I'm going to try and find some space to do the actions. and you might want to find some space and do the actions at home too. When James recorded it, much like today in my garden, it was quite windy, but that's quite appropriate because you need a lighthouse if you're in a boat in a bit of a storm. And at the moment, we need Jesus, a firm rock, a firm foundation, as the world is in a little bit of a storm. Okay, I hope you're well and keeping safe. Enjoy this song, and I'll see you all soon. Bye!
My wrestling, in my doubts, in my failures, you won't walk out. Your great love will lead me through. You are my peace in my troubled sea. Oh, you are my peace in my troubled sea. In the silence you won't let go. In my questions your truth will hold. Your great love will see me through. You are the peace in my troubled sea. Oh, you are my peace in the troubled sea. My lighthouse, whoa, shining in the darkness, I will follow you. Whoa, my lighthouse, I will trust the promise. You will carry me safe to shore. Whoa, safe to shore. Whoa, safe to shore. Safe to shore. I won't fear what tomorrow brings. With each morning I'll rise and sing. My God's love will lead me through. You are the peace in my troubled sea. Oh, you are the peace in my troubled sea. My lighthouse, whoa, my lighthouse, shining in the darkness, I will follow you. Whoa, my lighthouse, whoa, I will trust the promise. You will carry me safe to shore. Whoa, safe to shore. Whoa, safe to shore. Whoa, safe to shore.